Hi, and thanks for inviting me into your kitchen. My name is Chris Lashervo. I use they, them pronouns, and I'm here as a part of Nanaimo Food Chair's Kids Get Cooking program. Today we're going to make on-hand salads and some easy dressings so that you can eat more greens more often in more of your meals. Now, let's look at the ingredients we're all going to be using today to make our salad. I have some freshly washed greens. Right here we have a combination of about 4 or 5 different types of kale, but maybe you have collards or Swiss chard. Maybe you have a combination of all of the above. Everything is going to be delicious in here. So experiment with color, texture, flavor. We also have some cabbage. Maybe the cabbage you have is purple. Fabulous. This is a good chunk. We really don't have to be specific around measurements with this. We also have some carrot and some zucchini. We have a beet and an apple. We also have some fresh herbs. You might be surprised at what's growing outside, even if you don't have a garden. We have some parsley and some mint. Maybe you find some lemon balm or some cilantro. All depends on what you like to eat. All right, so let's get started with what equipment we're going to use for this first part of our salad. We have some basic knives, a long blade knife, a short paring knife, and a serrated knife can often be helpful. Serrated knife is often easier for smaller hands, so experiment and see what's easiest for you. We also have some other handy tools that will help give us different textures and shapes of vegetables that are more fun to taste. So a basic peeler is going to give us nice thin slices. Maybe you even have a mandolin at home and you could use that. We also have a basic grater. Now, these graters and all of these implements are very sharp, so we'll talk a bit about safety later on, so be careful how you hold them. We're going to use the largest grater today. There's lots of different special grating sides, but let's keep it simple and stick to the large sides. I also have a bit of a specialty tool here today. This is called a spiralizer. There's lots of different options out there, and some of them are really big and they stick onto the counter with big handles that you turn. This one is actually available at many different local stores for around $6. So all we do is we put whatever vegetable it is that we're cutting up and we turn it like a pencil and we'll get these ribbons, almost like spaghetti. All right. So now we are ready to start cutting our veggies. Let's start with our kale. So we're going to bring all of our kale, our greens, out of our bowl. Now, just so you know, I've pre-washed all of these veggies. It'll take a little longer, so it's a good idea for you to have those ready. Actually, now's a great time to check in. Do you have all your ingredients that you need? Do you have all the equipment? If not, now's a great time to pause the video and you can play me whenever you're ready. All right, let's continue. I'm going to take all of this kale, bundle it together so that it's a nice log, and we're going to use our cat claws holding our big bundle, and our knife, our tip of the knife is going to go down first, and we're going to cut with our heel of the hand pressing down. Can you see this rocking motion I'm creating? Look, as I come close to my finger is tucked under, so it's not getting cut by the blade. As we get close, we're going to back our hand away and we're going to practice this rocking motion. This is actually a motion, even if you're not cutting anything, maybe even if you're bored, you can practice using your cat claws and doing your cutting rocking motion at the same time. All right, we've got all of our kale cut up. Let's put it in our bowl. Already we're seeing purples and greens and even a bit of white. So we're starting to build the rainbow. All right, next up, let's do some cabbage. You can cut cabbage and all of these vegetables any way you want. I'm simply giving you some suggestions. I love my cabbage cut in thin slices, but maybe you want to shred it. Maybe you want to dice it. It's all up to you. So again, using cat claws to hold my cabbage straight down onto the cutting surface. And I'm going to use my big knife again, and I'm going to take my time nice and slow. Can you please notice too that I'm holding my knife nice and close to the blade with my middle finger, and my top pointer finger is on the top edge of our knife. This gives us more control. So slowly and surely, I'm going to cut a nice thin slice of cabbage. Woo, that was so thin. It went off my cabbage. That's okay, keep going. So take it nice and slow, make nice thin slices. This is a loud one. What a crunch. I'm excited to taste that. Feel that explosion of moisture and texture in my mouth. What do your fingers look like? Do you still have your fingertips pointing straight down? It's good to check in and remind ourselves as we're cutting. It can be hard to do it all the time. That's why practice makes it even easier. As you get to the edge of whatever you're cutting, maybe it feels a little unstable. So you can either ask an adult to help, or you could even change the way that it's facing so that you have more room to cut. I've been doing this a little while, so you can see my rocking motion. I'm pretty fast at it. But if it takes you longer, don't worry. You can pause the video and catch up before you press play again. All right. These pieces are nice and small, but these ones I think are a little bit large, so I'm actually going to cut them in half. What are you going to do with yours? Let's put it in. Ooh. All right, check that out. Next, let's do some carrot. This is a really big carrot. I thought that was quite exciting, and I'm impressed with the farmers that grew this. So I'm gonna use my peeler, and we're gonna start off holding our carrot underneath, just like this. We wanna make sure that our fingers stay nice and far away, but enough that we're still holding half of the carrot. This is a big carrot, so maybe the carrots you're working with are better just go right to the next step that I'm about to do. But we're gonna make a flat edge first. Simply by running our peeler a few times, we get these really nice thin pieces. They're like flat noodles. Let's keep going. And now we have a nice flat edge to this carrot, which means it's going to be nice and easier and stable to work with. So let's use our cat claws, and we're going to keep going. You can keep doing this the whole time as far as you feel comfortable. Remember, this is a very sharp blade on the peeler, so we need to make sure our cat claws are active and we're taking our time to place our peeler around our edge. Let's turn it on the side so it's easier to work with, and I'm still using my cat claws. Let's do some grating. So again, these graters are extremely sharp. We want to make sure our fingers stay nice and far away from the blade as much as possible. So I like to use, just like we used our finger on the top edge of the knife, I'm going to use it to help push this down so that we can push down and towards the grater at the same time. So I'm holding my hand straight down and I'm pushing and moving my finger and my hand away from the grater as we grate that carrot. Don't feel rushed because I'm going fast. You take your time, make sure you feel safe. We don't want any cuts in our salad today. Notice how I'm moving my fingers far and farther back. Maybe this is as far as you get and you don't want to go any closer. You can always use your knife and cut them up so that we can still use every part of that carrot to go in our salad. Do you have the same kind of mess in front of you that I do? A messy kitchen is a delicious kitchen. Apples, like many other veggies, are round and they don't necessarily sit super stable. So if we use our rainbow fingers, we're going to hold on two different edges so we can keep it nice and stable. I also have another silly term for the tops and the bottoms of fruits and vegetables. This is technically the stem and this is technically the root in some cases, or I actually am blanking on what it is, and that's okay, the bottom of the apple. But I sillily call them belly buttons. So I want you to cut your apple from belly button to belly button using your rainbow fingers. Get the tip of your knife down first, and then push the heel of your hand down so that we have these flat edges for us to put our apples onto. Using your cat claws, we're going to cut from belly button to belly button again. And this way we can see the core right on the edge on both sides. We're going to cut all of our apple pieces in the same direction, or place them, so that we can cut in one diagonal cut and get the whole core off, just like that. Do you see the diagonal that I had to place my knife for that? All right. Let's do that to all the rest of the apple. Oh, look at that. I left a little bit of pit behind. I'm going to try it again. That's good enough for me. Now we have these flat edges in the middle. That's going to help us cut these apples into dices. You can also slice it if you would like, but I'm going to show you a dice right now. So using our cat claws, we're going to make a few cuts, maybe 2 or 3, along the edges of these apples. And we're going to bring them all together nice and close as if they'd never been cut, and turn them the other direction. Use your cat claws again, and you can cut them all at the same time to be this nice dice shape. You can make them however big or small that you want. So if you want to make more than 3 cuts per apple quarter, then go for it. How's using your cat claws going? I know it's tricky, but practice makes better. Oops. Maybe this is a time to use rainbow fingers. That one got away from me. Great. I didn't mention this with the carrots, but with all root veggies, all of the peels are actually edible, and they're really, really good for us. They have extra minerals that our body really benefits from. So when you're washing carrots, beets, turnips, radishes, anything like that, give them a nice extra scrub down when you're washing them with cold water so that you can eat this too. I especially like to eat beet and carrot skins when they're grated. So I'm going to start going ahead like this. With beet skins, I sometimes find that they're a bit bitter, which means that I sometimes choose to peel them off. However, when I grate my beets, I can't taste that bitterness as much because it's mixed in with the rest of it. And like I said, it's so good for us that why not include it? When we put healthy things into our body, we just feel better. And it's something that, especially right now, we need to be very aware of. Let's keep ourselves as healthy as possible. Let's turn it around again. I want to show you too, this is the top or the belly button of the beet, and this is the part that I won't grate. So that's where I'm going to hold on to as much as possible as it gets smaller and smaller. That's pretty good. I don't want to go anymore. I'll feel a little unsafe. This is one of my favorite parts about working with beets. I always get this lovely red color. If you wash your hands quick enough, you can take that off right away. But it's kind of nice having a little red glow that lasts a couple days. All right, just for a little bit of fun, we're going to use this specialty tool. If you don't have one, you can cut your zucchini in any of the ways that we've already talked about. But we're going to use the spiralizer with our zucchini. You can tell I used it already earlier with the first half of this one. The important part with spiralizers is to make sure that the center circle is in line with the zucchini or whatever vegetable you're cutting in the center. So this one actually went off center the last time I used it. So I'm going to correct that this time. The way that this one works is I'm going to hold it and turn the zucchini like I'm using a pencil sharpener. And you can start to see some of the noodles that will come out. Nice long strands, kind of like spaghetti, or like my good friend Gary said, zoogetti, when they're made of zucchini. You can see how long these strands are, and those are going to be really tricky to eat if they're that long. So what we're going to do next is we are going to chop them into smaller bits that are maybe easier to eat. I'm just going to cut the top of this because it's a little softer than I was hoping. We're going to put this in a compost pile. I'll reattach our zucchini, and now that we're so close, I want to make sure my fingers stay away from those blades. So I'm going to use this top part to press into the zucchini as I turn it, and we can still get some of these zoogetti noodles until it can't go down anymore, which I think we are there. So we've got a little bit of zucchini left. All of these bits of vegetables, you can either chomp on them as a little snack before dinner, or you can put them in a bag and keep them for making soup stock. Now is a great time to have soup boiling all day long and fill your house with delicious soup stock smells. So I've just cut this up in a few pieces so that they're a little shorter of noodles. Let's add that too. All right, last but not least, I've got some fresh herbs here that we're going to add. So I have both parsley and mint, and I'm going to chop them all together, and I'm even going to use the stems. Lots of people think that they need to remove the stems on any of these fresh herbs. However, they actually have a lot of flavor and even quite a bit of fiber for us, which is really helpful. I like, whenever we're using small batches of things, so even cutting up garlic cloves or leafy herbs, fresh herbs like this, I bundle them up into a nice small ball like this. I use my kitty claws because we've got a small surface to work with, and I use our knife in this same rocking motion we've talked about a few times, cutting as thin as possible, so moving it very little. And as I get closer and closer to my fingers, I move them away or slightly rock that ball away from the knife. Keep going until the very, very end. And now's your turn to decide, is that chopped enough or shall we do it again? I think we should do it again. I'm gonna ball it up. And it's gonna fall apart because it's in lots of little pieces, but the more you push it together with your cat claws and you go over it with your knife, the smaller it's gonna get. And those herbs are so flavorful that you just need a little tiny bit to have that punch of flavor. So let's add that into our salad. Now you might see me scrape my hand. I'm only using the back part of my knife to scrape things off of my hand. So only do this if you feel very comfortable, because we wouldn't want you to mix up which side of the knife you're using. All right, so here we have our rainbow of fruits and veggies. If you have more veggies and more fruits that you would like to add, don't hold back. This is an opportunity for you to add everything and anything. The only thing that I would suggest you staying away from in terms of this grab and go salad is leafy greens. So things that are really thin and delicate, like spinach or lettuce. Kale and all of these root veggies and cabbage, they're really nice because they'll last a long time pre-cut like this in the fridge. And you can see now that I've started to mix this all up, how colorful that is. Ooh, look at that long piece of carrot. Let's chop that up. There we go. That'll be easier to eat. Oh, I found another one. All right. So there's the beginning of our salad. This is something that I like storing in a plastic bag in the fridge so that it doesn't take up much room, and it's really easy to simply take a handful of and add it to almost anything that I'm doing. I even use this for stir fries sometimes. So this is a regular salad mix that I do every week to have in my kitchen on hand. All right, how are you doing? Have you got all your veggies prepped? Have you mixed them? And do you have a rainbow of colors? I hope so. If you haven't, now's a great time to pause the video and make some changes. Catch up, maybe add a different color veggie that you don't have in your bowl already. We've got a beautiful rainbow salad, and it's time to dress it up with a basic balsamic dressing and possibly even more fancy if you decide. So before we start, let's make sure we have all of our equipment. I have a liquid measure up to 1 cup. I have a few tasting spoons. I have a 1 teaspoon and a 1 tablespoon measure. I have a fork for eating salad. I also have a jar that can be closed tight so that I can shake it to put all of our salad dressings in. A mason jar also works, but today I have this squeeze bottle. And we also need all of our ingredients. So we've got balsamic vinegar, we've got olive oil, we've got Dijon mustard, oregano, garlic, salt, pepper, and basil, and we also have some sweetener. So today I'm going to use maple syrup, but you could also use honey or even some jam if you have some fruit puree. Absolutely delicious. Keep in mind to try to incorporate low sugar jams. All right, let's do it. So first off, we're going to add all of our olive oil to our liquid measure. Now look closely at the liquid measure. We're going to make sure that our olive oil pours up to the 1/2 mark, which I need to bring my eyes down to this level to be able to see it. We're close. There we are. Now, to be extra sneaky, I'm going to add my next 1/2 cup of balsamic vinegar directly to this measuring cup before I put it in. So again, my eyes are coming down to the bottom, and I'm going to pour this in until we reach a 1 cup. There we go. I'd say we're up to 1 cup there. Now we can pour all of this into our shakeable bottle. And can you see how our olive oil and our balsamic vinegar have different layers? That's because our oil is a lot lighter than our vinegar is. So the vinegar sinks to the bottom and the oil floats to the top. And that's a good reminder that we need to shake our dressing every time that we start to use it, so that we have all of the flavors all in one. I'm going to put the Dijon mustard in last, just so that we don't muck up our measuring spoon. I have some oregano, dried oregano leaves, and we're going to add 1 tablespoon. And in fact, we're so close to the end of this that I think we can add it all. So normally we would measure so that it's nice and level with our measuring spoon. However, we're going to add it all, because why not? It's so close. All right, we're also going to add some garlic powder. If you have some fresh garlic cloves that you're going to add, please do. That will be absolutely delicious. Just mince them as small as possible. So you might need an adult's help. So we are going to add, how much? We're going to add 1 tablespoon of garlic powder to our 1 tablespoon of oregano. And we're also going to add 1 tablespoon of basil. Shake it so it's nice and level. Add it. All right, this is our basic balsamic vinegar dressing. My family is Italian, and this is the dressing I grew up with every single day. I absolutely love it. But you can make it even more fancy. So let's test it. Take a nice clean spoon, and once you've just shaken it up, you can put a little bit on your spoon. That's even more than we need to taste it. And you can taste it right from there. Or, oh yeah. Or you could even take, that's a big piece of kale. You could even take a small piece of kale and dip that in or on your spoon, and that'll give you a more accurate flavor of what it'll taste like on the salad. So full of flavor. I love it. However, once we've tasted our taste spoon, we want to make sure that we put this into the sink. So it's got lots of germs on it from our mouth, and we want to stay as clean as possible, especially right now. So let's make this more fancy. And please pardon if I have green kale in my teeth. So we're going to spice it up a little bit with a little bit more sweetness. And we're going to add 1 tablespoon of maple syrup. We're also going to add 2 tablespoons of Dijon mustard. Let's make sure this is easier to squeeze. Ooh, all the fun sounds. Okay, that's 1. Let's get a second one in there. That's good. Now remember, these ingredients that I'm adding, I'm choosing to add them all, but you could choose to add just 1 or only the ones that you like. It's up to you to make your dressing however you like it. So I'm going to also add 1 teaspoon of black pepper and 1 teaspoon of salt. I don't have any nutritional yeast today, but that's also something that's really delicious in this dressing if you choose to add it. Let's shake it up again and see what we think of it next. think all of that mustard has broken and mixed in with everything else. Let's see, with another new clean spoon. So this is definitely a bit thicker than what we had before. You can already tell the consistency is different, but let's see what it tastes like. Oh yeah. Ooh, really nice. Oh, I have my other thing here. Remember, tasting it directly on a piece of vegetable from your salad is a great idea because it's not as strong when it's straight off of the spoon. Mmm. Love it. All right, so now we have a delicious dressing. We can keep this on the counter because there's nothing in here that's gonna degrade. You don't need to put it in the fridge. It's ready for you to add to your salad whenever you need a nice quick snack. Let's bring our salad back and think about how we can dress it up even more to make it even tastier and more of a full meal, just like the Canada Food Guide from 2019 has indicated. Already, we have lots of colorful rainbow vegetables and fruits, which is supposed to be a half of our portion of a meal. 1/4 of our portion of a meal is going to be whole grains. So I have some quinoa I prepared beforehand, and I can add these. I've got some walnut bits here, and I can actually add this directly to this mix to keep in the fridge. So here we go. That looks about right. It's up to you how much you add. I also love sesame seeds. These give us a nice quick crunch, as well as being a nice pop of white. There's also black sesame seeds out there, and both of them taste delicious if you want to toast them in a frying pan before you add them to your salad as well. Hemp hearts are another great additive. If you don't have all of these ingredients, that's totally fine. Use what you have, but know that lots of nuts and seeds, like these things, can really change the flavor and make it even more delicious and filling. Let's add some hemp hearts. Why measure when you can just shake it out? I also have some dehydrated cranberries. So pick up the sweetness again with a nice full fruit. These cranberries are sweetened with apple juice. So we have a natural sugar rather than sweetened with refined sugar, which can actually be hard on our body overall. So let's add some cranberries. Oh, those smell so good. I'm excited. Last but not least, I have a little extra protein, which is our cheese. I have feta cheese here with me right now, but maybe you have a cheddar or a mozzarella or any other kind, and maybe you'd like to grate it up so that it's in nice pieces, or even dice it. This is feta, so it's actually really easy to crumble. So I'm just gonna use my fingers and squeeze it into small little pieces and pull it apart. Let's toss this salad up. So if you were to have this at dinner or at lunch, or even try a salad for breakfast, on the side of eggs, salad is actually really delicious. I would even say the eggs on top of your salad could be really tasty. Keep your grains separate because they actually will age at a faster rate than the rest of these pieces of produce. Here's my serving of salad. Let's add a little bit of dressing. It's up to you how much. And I normally use a much bigger mason jar, by the way, but I'm not going to eat it all right now. So I shake it up, and it's an easy way for us to make sure that the dressing coats every little bit and all of our quinoa gets mixed in. You can already see there's quinoa on the top, on the bottom, all around. So let's open that up, take a taste. I'm really excited to eat this for dinner. I hope you are too. Thanks for joining me and inviting me into your kitchen. I hope I'll see you next time.